Hello everyone. Welcome to my channel. Please subscribe and keep watching more details. 1,000 pounds, sisters. Misty accuses Amy Halterman of cheating. On tonight's episode of 1,000 pounds, sisters, Misty accuses her sister Amy Halterman of cheating. While some of her siblings were willing to justify her actions, most agreed with Misty that Amy definitely cheated. What did the 1,000 pounds sisters star cheat at exactly? Keep reading for the details. 1,000 pounds, sisters, Misty accuses Amy Halterman of cheating. During tonight's episode, the family headed for an amusement park for a little fun. At the ticket booth, they joked that Misty was barely tall enough to ride the rides by herself. Amanda was quick to let her sister know she'd be her adult on any rides she couldn't get on. Going to an amusement park was a pretty big deal for the family, as it wasn't that long ago that neither Amy nor Chris could fit on the rides. Chris Combs admitted getting back on roller coasters has been a dream of his for a pretty long time. Initially, Chris walks off when he learns the weight limit of the ride is 375 pounds. He tells his siblings he is right at 375 pounds, and he isn't willing to risk getting on the ride. The operator, however, assures him he will be fine. At first, Chris and the operator struggle to get the safety bar down and secure. He switches to a different seat, and at the recommendation of his sister maneuvers his roll around. Eventually he gets situated and the safety bar gets secured. The ride involves shooting laser guns at targets while riding a roller coaster. The operator asks Amy Halterman if she's nervous. She says no, before revealing she's the blind one of the family. The operator decides to offer her a handicap and gives her a second gun. He tells her to just shoot like crazy and she's sure to hit something. When Amy Halterman whips around with 2 guns in her hands, Misty was the first to call her out for cheating. Amanda admits she could have gotten a much higher score with 2 guns. Amy Halterman, however, argues her siblings had the advantage of 2 eyes. So, it was only fair that she got 2 guns. Do you agree the second gun was a handicap for Amy? Or, do you agree with Misty and her siblings that Amy cheated? Share your thoughts with us in the comments down below. The late autumn sun had barely risen above the rooftops in Dixon, Kentucky, when Misty Slayton pulled into Amy Halterman's driveway with a look on her face that could shatter glass. The air was crisp, the sky the faintest shade of winter blue, and every ounce of it felt tense as Misty stepped out of her car, clutching a folded piece of paper like it was Exhibit A in the case of the decade. Inside, Amy was shuffling around the kitchen, her boys running circles around the table. Gage was clinging to a toy dinosaur, roaring like a tiny T-Rex, while Glenn giggled in his high chair, smearing yogurt across his cheeks. Chaos, yes, but Amy loved it. This was her life now. Single mom, 2 kids, plans for a fresh start, and 0 patience for drama. 0 patience she thought she had, until Misty stormed through the front door without knocking. Amy Nicole Slayton. Misty barked, her voice sharp enough to cut through the children's laughter. We need to talk. Now. Amy froze mid-step, a spoonful of oatmeal dripping back into the bowl. Misty, what in the world? You don't just barge in like this. Oh, I do when my little sister is making a fool of herself. Misty snapped, waving the folded paper dramatically. You want to explain this? Amy felt her stomach twist. What is that? The question is, Misty hissed. What do you think it is? Gage stopped roaring. Glenn stopped giggling. Even the refrigerator seemed to hum a little quieter. Amy crossed her arms. You gonna tell me or you want me to play psychic? Misty slapped the paper on the counter and unfolded it with flair. It was a printed screenshot, grainy but unmistakable, of Amy hugging a man outside the grocery store. A man who was very much not her ex-husband Michael. Amy blinked, then blinked again. Lord, Misty. You drove over here at 7 a.m. to argue over a hug. Misty jabbed a finger at the image. Not just any hug. That's a man hug. A long hug. A hug with feelings. Amy ran a hand over her face. His mom died last week. He's a friend from high school. I was comforting him, not cheating on nobody. Misty was unrelenting. Comfort leads to cuddlin', and cuddlin' leads to compromisin' situations. Misty, Amy groaned. There ain't no compromisin'. I'm a single woman, and even if I was datin' someone, how's that cheating? Who am I cheatin' on, Michael? The man who left me cryin' in the kitchen while he played video games all night. Misty opened her mouth but paused. She hated Michael just as much as everyone else, but she wasn't about to lose momentum. I'm just sayin', Misty insisted. The family's talkin'. Word gets around. You don't want people sayin' you moved on too fast. Amy stomped to the table and slammed the oatmeal spoon down. People been saying stuff about me since I was 10. Amy's too big. Amy's too loud. Amy shouldn't marry Michael. Amy shouldn't have another baby. And now it's Amy hugged a man, so she must be cheatin'. She grabbed the screenshot. I'm tired of it. Misty crossed her arms, her expression softening just a fraction. I'm just trying to look out for you. No, Misty, Amy shot back. You're trying to stir a pot that ain't yours to stir. The room simmered with tension thick enough to slice. Gage tugged at Amy's shirt. Mama, you okay? Amy knelt and kissed the top of his head. Mama's fine, baby. Misty sighed. Look, I didn't mean to get all worked up, but folks online saw this picture, and they think you're lying about being single. And you know how fast rumors spread. By the time I woke up this morning, there were posts saying you cheated on Michael while y'all were still married. Amy's eyes widened. What? That's a dang lie. I know, Misty said, finally dropping some of the sharpness in her tone. But you know how people get. Amy they twist down every little table, thing, shaking her head. I swear. I hug one person, and suddenly I'm the Jezebel of Dixon. Misty cracked a tiny smile. Ain't nobody callin' you Jezebel. Maybe like, mild Jezebel. Amy finally laughed. Stop. Misty took a seat across from her. Amy, I'm just scared those trolls are gonna hurt your feelings again. You've been doing so good. You lost weight, you're taking care of your boys. I don't want nothin' draggin' you back down. Amy's voice softened. I appreciate that. I really do. But you gotta trust me. I know what I'm doing. I ain't sneaking around with nobody. And if I was seeing someone, I'd tell you before the internet. Would you? Misty challenged. Amy raised a brow. Misty, you know dang well I can't keep a secret longer than 24 hours. Misty realized she had no argument for that. Fair enough. Glenn squealed from the high chair and threw a handful of yogurt at Misty's shirt. It splattered across her chest like a milky badge of honor. Misty gasped. Boy, what in the... Amy burst out laughing. That's what you get for barging in uninvited. Even Misty cracked up, wiping yogurt off her shirt. All right. I deserved that. The energy in the room had shifted, tension dissolving into the kind of laughter only Slayton siblings could muster after an argument. Amy took a breath. Look, Misty, next time you see something online, just text me first. Don't show up looking like you're auditioning for CSI, Dixon County. Misty shrugged. Well, someone's gotta keep the family from making fools of themselves. Amy smirked. Then start with Tammy. Misty groaned. Oh Lord. Tammy's already online this morning arguing with somebody about whether she can wash herself. Amy rolled her eyes. Of course she is. They shared a knowing nod. The kind that came from years of dealing with the unpredictable, messy, hilarious chaos of their family. Misty stood, brushing off her shirt. All right, sis. I'll let you get back to the kids. But just be careful, okay? Amy looked at her with genuine warmth. I will. And thanks for having my back. Even if you did wake me up with drama. That's what big sisters do, Misty said with a proud grin. As Misty headed toward the door, Amy called out. Misty? Yeah. If I ever do start datin' someone, you'll be the second to know. Misty laughed. Who's first? Amy winked. Gage. That boy hears everything. Outside, the sun finally climbed over the trees, warming the frosty morning. Misty got into her car with a sense of peace. Amy returned to her boys, her heart lighter. Rumors would always swirl. Drama would always find them. But the Slayton sisters? They'd always face it together. And today, at least, Amy knew one thing for sure. She wasn't cheatin'. She was just huggin'. And sometimes a hug was simply that.